Madam President.
We're in a quorum call.
Madam President, President, I ask that the quorum call be suspended.
Without objection.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, as we know, our colleagues in the House of Representatives are at the moment trying to pass a continuing resolution to keep government open. As you also know, government is supposed to shut down if the House and the Senate don't act tonight, I think at midnight. Part of the efforts of our colleagues in the House would be, of course, not only to keep government open, but to extend the National Flood Insurance Program, which is also scheduled to expire, I think, tonight at midnight. The National Flood Insurance Program, as I think most people know, is hardly perfect, but it's important. It's almost impossible to buy flood insurance in the private sector. Many people, unfortunately, when they buy homeowners insurance, think that their homeowners insurance covers them for flood. It does not. Many Americans, unfortunately, found that out, for example, with the horrible flooding in Appalachia. Virtually all of our friends and neighbors in the Appalachia area and in South Carolina and Kentucky and Florida who were victims of Hurricane Helene did not have flood insurance. I think many of them had homeowners, but they're not covered for flood. The private sector, I don't want to overstate this, but for the most part, it's almost impossible to get flood insurance in the private sector. That's why we have a National Flood Insurance Program. The National Flood Insurance Program is not exactly a model of efficiency. Under President Biden, it's been screwed up even more. FEMA, which is in charge of our flood insurance program, implemented something called Risk Rating 2.0. It's been a disaster. It's a mess. It looks like something that my beagle used to hide under my back porch. But it's better than nothing. It's better than nothing. We're going to have a new chair of our banking committee in the Senate, as you know, Madam President, and Senator Tim Scott. And Senator Scott has asked Senator Mike Rounds and I to work on trying to start over with our National Flood Insurance Program, maybe even extend it to some other hazards. But Tim has asked Mike and I to try to design a brand new program that looks like somebody designed it on purpose. And we're going to get started on that. Indeed, we already have started. But in the meantime, the current program, as bad as it is, expires tonight at midnight. And what would be, and we want to continue, what would be the result of that? It would mean that as of 12:01 tonight, the flood insurance program can no longer write new policies. Now, I don't want to scare people. If you already have flood insurance through what we call the NFIP, which is just an acronym for the national program, your policy won't expire. If it's not at its termination date, you'll continue to have flood coverage, but you can't buy a new policy. That will have a huge impact on the real estate market in America. Many institutions will not loan money to a new homeowner or a homeowner who's trying to buy a home if they can't get flood insurance, because the mortgage companies just don't want to take that risk. We've already seen, for a variety of reasons, the extraordinary increase in the price of a home in America. I was reading the other day that the 10, 15, 20 years ago, the average age of the first-time home buyer in America was 28. Today it's 38. Why are people having to wait so much longer to buy a home? It's not because they don't want to buy a home. It's because they need time to save up the money for a home. But my point is that the price of homes, for a variety of reasons, in part because of inflation, the price of a home has just risen dramatically. And I don't think any of us want to do anything to make the price of a home go up even further. I want to say a word about Louisiana. We have about 5 million people who have flood insurance. In our flood insurance program, about 10% of those are in Louisiana. Those who have flood insurance in Louisiana are, for the most part, I'm trying to think of a stronger way of saying it, the vast majority of the people in Louisiana who have flood insurance are working men and working women. Our coast, for example, is a working coast. Some people like to paint the picture of the National Flood Insurance Program serving multi-millionaires with multi-million-dollar homes on the coast. That's not Louisiana, I can assure you. My people are working people. We don't even have a coast like some states that have those type of homes. If you travel to Grand Isle or Port Fourchon in my state, you would see that. These are middle-class Americans that depend on the National Flood Insurance Program. I've worked very hard, many of us have, to try to improve the National Flood Insurance Program through the years. I've been working on it since the first day I came to the United States Senate. Frankly, I didn't get a lot of cooperation from the leadership of the Banking Committee, which has jurisdiction over the National Flood Insurance Program. I don't want to make a promise I can't keep, but our Banking Committee is going to be under new leadership, as I just said, and Senator Scott, our new chairman, has directed Senator Rounds and I to try to come up with a program that's a vast improvement over what we have. So I'll sum up by saying what I'm going to propose to do here in a moment is to extend the status quo until September 30th. It will extend the National Flood Insurance Program that we have right now, imperfect as it may be, ugly as it may be, and it is. It really does look like something my beagle used to hide under the back porch. The American people deserve better, but it's better than nothing, and without it, it will have a huge impact on the real estate market. So my bill would extend the program, no changes, until September 30th, 2025. Hopefully by then, we'll have a new bill to present to you, Madam President, and my colleagues. And it will contain a national flood insurance program that is much better than what we have right now. So, as if in legislative session, Madam President, and notwithstanding Rule 22, I ask unanimous consent that the Committee on Banking, Housing, and Urban Affairs be discharged from further consideration of S4772. That's the bill I just talked about. And the Senate proceed to its immediate consideration. And I further ask, Madam President, that the bill be considered read a third time and passed, and that the motion to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table. Thank you, Madam President.
Is there objection?